a part of the American Football Coaches Association board. I've done it a long time. Excellence knows excellence when it meets excellence. What a great team we are, huh? A great team. Now, how many of you have heard of the 10,000-hour rule? That you've heard that, right? Absolutely. What night is this right now? Friday night, and here we are, right? Huh? There's a significance to that, and I've noticed that about MMP. They're where the work is, and it starts there. That willingness. Let me tell you, 10,000 hours, if it was 24 hours a day, would represent 416 days. Well, we know we're not going to be able to work 24 hours a day. So it is a process, and you have to invest yourselves into this process. Now, I want to tell you about my interview going to Duke. Duke had won 10 games in 8 years previous to us getting there. Okay? They had won like 30 games in 17 years. That is planted deeply. So when they asked me to come over and interview for that job, they were going to send a private jet to bring me in, and I said, don't worry about it. I got in my pickup truck, and I drove to Duke to my interview. And I'd never been there. I got there at 2:30 in the morning, and I started walking the campus. And I really wasn't sure if I was going to stay or not. I wanted to do a little investigation prior to. I mean, they were awful. But they were. So I went in to different buildings. If the door wasn't locked, I went in it. Because I wanted to just start finding people. Guess who was there at that time of the morning? You would know, housekeeping. So I started talking with people. I said, how many years have you worked at Duke? Some would say 10, a few 25. One said 31, one said 18. And I would ask them questions like, what's this place like? Love it. You know, what do you do? Well, I take pride in taking care of this building, that. Then I met a man named Oscar Dantzler, who said he owned the chapel at Duke. He's been a member of the custodial staff there for 18 years. That was really all I needed to hear from me. That's the bigger part of the team. And I knew those people represented the deep core values of this institution. So you know what? I called my wife. It was early. I had just met the president, walked out of his office. I said, I'm going to take the job. And she said, they've already offered it to you? I said, no, but they will. True story. And they did, and we took it. And we've already had a 10-win season in the 9 years we've been there, and we're only beginning. So I want to tell you that I believe this. You are the culture of your business. You are. We, as a football staff and a football program, are the culture of our business. So I just changed to how we went about culture. It is every day. It's Friday night. It's Saturday night. We don't have to work 24 hours a day, but the culture has to live every day. There's a big difference in working 24 hours a day and letting your culture live 24 hours a day. So here are the things that we focused on from day one. Values. You have to decide what they are. We're going to get into that. Developing great habits. You've got to start making, I heard it a minute ago, I think Joe said, a singular decision can make you successful. I believe that. That's a decision about habits. Consistency, which I think is the most important part of any organization or relationship. And then how do we go about, as a leader, being the right kind of leader? So let's dive into this. You know what our number one value was? Climate. Climate, that sounds funny, doesn't it? Could be environment, could be a lot of things, but we call it climate. I'll tell you why. I'm from rural Alabama, and where I'm from, if I built a 1,500 square foot cabin and I sold it, I might get $20 to $25 a square foot, and that's the truth. I could take that same cabin and I could take it to the coast of California in a very key area of climate. I'll get $5,000 a square foot. So don't tell me climate doesn't make a difference. When you walk into our building or you meet our people, your climate just changed to the best climate in the United States of America, if not North America, because I know we have a lot of people from all over North America here. So what's the most contagious thing about a person? Is it talent? Is it our intellect? Absolutely not. It is our attitude, which then therefore reflects the climate that you're exhibiting. When you come into the Duke football building, it will be the cleanest, most well-lit, happiest building on that campus. Bar none. Bar none. And how do you do that? I just said it's contagious. And we work at it every single day. Be an owner. I'm going to be a little personal here about being an owner. We all know that you don't rent cars and then go detail them before you turn them in, right? Anybody here done that? If you have, I got some land I want to sell you. Okay? Nobody does that. But when you own something, you're going to take care of it. Be an owner. Personal story. I believe firmly in this. My dad passed away when I was 15. He was a hard-working man. He worked 7 days a week. Never Sunday morning. We did go to church, but on Sunday afternoons and evenings, he had to go to work. Well, one particular Sunday, I think I was 8, he decided he was going to take all 6 of us. We had 6 children, and we were going to go to the park. What? We're going to go to the park? So we went into town to the park. When he pulled that 1952 Chevrolet up, people knew that car was the only one we had. You could see the terror in their eyes. We were going to ruin every game there. We were aggressive, athletic, and we just went ripping, running, playing. And Daddy sat under a shade tree over there and watched us play. And, you know, a whole different era, smoking his cigarette, sitting on the big old giant concrete picnic table. And it started getting close to dusk. We'd been there since 2 o'clock. And he could whistle, putting his fingers in his mouth. And the first whistle meant stop, dead in your tracks. Didn't matter if you're around in third base. Boom. Then the second whistle meant come running. And my sister Lynn, I'll never forget this, beat me back to the car, of all things. She was 2 years older, but she still shouldn't have beat me. But Daddy told her, get out of the car, Lynn. And he set all 6 of us up on the top of this picnic table. And he said, what do you see? These are 6 kids ranging from 12 to 4 or 5. Daddy, we don't say we're hungry. Hush your mouths. What do you see? It's getting dark. Hush. Well, we couldn't figure it out. And he said, I'm going to tell you what I've said over here and I've seen. People have trashed this park all afternoon. There is litter everywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. But Daddy, we did. Hush your mouth. No one's going anywhere until every piece of paper and trash is picked up and put in a can. They had those big old 55-gallon World War II reserve oil drums were all the garbage cans. 6 little Cutcliffes running around everywhere, picking up trash, running over there. We filled 3 of those cans up. And then he sat us on the bench. My dad only went to school to the 8th grade. But he was an educated man. You understand the difference, do you not? He put his finger in our faces. And he said, I want you to remember this, and I want you to remember this the rest of your lives. When a Cutcliffe goes somewhere, You leave a place better than you found it. You understand? Well, you know what? That resonates to ownership, does it not? Who's responsible? We are the owners. I love the term independent owner or operator. I like to say owner. But that's not all that complex. And that has meant everything to us. And then communication. Say what you mean and mean what you say. You want a great organization. You want to build a great organization. You cannot do it without saying what you mean and mean what you say. Let me just give you an example in the football world. If we tell a young man to put his hand behind the line, or to finish through a cone, or to tuck his T-shirt on, and we let that violation happen, we've lost every bit of credibility we have in our organization. So, how many people do you have in your life that say, I will pick this up, I will be there by 7 p.m., that you know without doubt that's going to happen? It's rare. When you develop that personally and the people around you develop that same consistency, say what you mean and mean what you say. All of us, how much better off would we be if we worked at that a little bit harder? I love you are pretty strong words, isn't it? Say what you mean and mean what you say. I use that last one because I think it's a huge part of an organization. So we get into our other values. Courage is a word I love. The origin is the French meaning of heart. Isn't that where courage comes from? If you're going to run in a burning building to save someone, it's not because you're mad. It's not because you're all jacked up and I'm going to do. You have a deep-seated love, then you create courage. How appropriate is that English word from that French word meaning heart? If you don't put your heart and soul in your business, if it doesn't live there, then don't be a pretender. It will not happen. Then I love integrity. If you'll read there, the Latin word integritas, it was used as a greeting amongst Roman soldiers when Rome was at its greatest height. I would think that somewhere it probably got lost. It was a meaning of solidarity. The definition, the ability to adhere to a moral or ethical principles, the state of being whole, honesty. It does go right back to, doesn't it? Say what you mean and mean what you say. A person of integrity, a business of integrity. There are no shortcuts to it. And then character. That's a Greek word, the origin, and it comes, and I can't speak Greek, so character or however it's said, but it was an engraving tool. Sorry for the typo. I just noticed it. I don't like that. But it was an engraving tool. So what does it mean? It means permanence. It means permanence. So you're not declaring character until it's said and done. In the end, we will know whether we had character. And that is engraved over a lifetime. And in my mind, it's engraved this way. Courage plus integrity equals character. It does take a lifetime to accomplish. So I love coaching young coaches this day and time. I've got a multitude of coaches that have played for us. We've got a multitude of personnel in our organization that have been a part of it. That's why I'm so attracted to what Amway can do and what MMP can empower, is because that's how it's done. That's investment. That's long-term investment. But it always starts with courage, plus your integrity is going to equal character, which therefore when the final race is run, you are the winner. Only special people win consistently. Don't ever think differently. And you know what? Again, I'm going to stop right now. First slide, I told you, congratulations. If you weren't special people, if that core wasn't here, you wouldn't be here. I love being around you all. Love it. And it makes me better. So I thank you as well. Thank you. Developing great habits. So there are two things we do. We train discipline and we train conditioning every day. They're both mental and they're both physical for us. So you have to understand that we, as leaders, have to be willing to sacrifice personal gain for the good of the team. That is how you describe your work ethic. Not that I'm early, I'm late, I'm busting my tail. It's sacrifice. When you're willing, it's leadership of consequence. When you're willing to sacrifice for the team, welcome to leadership. Welcome to leadership. So as we go through and look every single day, we have structure of discipline. We're a morning practice team. Can you imagine 18 to 22 years old? That's the way we got. They're college students first. And when I went in there and told them this and said, okay, we give them Monday off at Duke. They're nothing but students. That's all they do. I don't want to see them. I don't want the weight room to have them. I want you to plan your week. I want you to organize yourselves. And we're very proud that for 18 semesters now, we've had a team grade point average at Duke of over a 3.0. Our team GPA right now is about a 3.18. Pretty cool. But you know what we tell them? Dressed and ready at 7:05 a.m. every day. They're in the meetings. They've already been taped. They got their pants on, no shoulder pads or anything. We don't wear shoulder pads every day, but Tuesday morning is a sacrifice day. We call it Bloody Tuesday. I get in trouble when I say that. We don't want anybody bleeding, but you understand what we're saying there. Sacrifice. So 7:05 a.m. And our organization, like I said, our coaches, we've been together a long time. And somebody asked me recently in a lecture, what do you do when someone's late? And I chuckled and I said, let me tell you something. No one's ever tried that yet. Okay? That's understood. You remember when we said discipline every day? Conditioning every day? It's every single day the culture lives. And when we walk in the meeting room, everybody has both feet flat on the floor. They're sitting up, and we want eye contact. Is there anything wrong with that? No. There's not in any business. There's not in any business. I get former players all the time wanting to come back, talk to the current players, not about winning or losing football games. I had one do it this week. He wanted this one so badly, and he's just really climbed the ladder of business quickly. He wanted so badly to tell them all of the principles he's learned as a Duke football player, how he's applied them in his business. And I said, sure. But I said, I'm going to find out how good you are. He said, what do you mean? I said, time is a premium. I said, Dave, you got 3 minutes. Begin. So that's a good way to find out if somebody really is saying what they mean and mean what they say. You can't make it up, right? So 3 minutes, and he did it beautifully. So I was very, very proud of him in that regard. So consistency. How about old Coach Aristotle? Do y'all remember him? I can't tell you what he coached because it was 380 BC. 380 BC. So Coach Aristotle, he said it very well when he said, we become what we repeatedly do. It is all about our habits. You can't run from it. I've heard one time that it takes 2 weeks of the consistency to create a habit. There may be some truth in that. I've never measured it. I think most of them are a process that occurs from when we're old enough to make decisions, and it's ongoing. Don't you guys? It never stops. So what I got so frustrated with as a young athlete was this statement next. Perfect practice makes perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And I tried. I really did. I promise you. I'll put my hand on the Bible and tell you I tried to be perfect. Yet I still threw interceptions. I don't think I ever fumbled, but it almost came out. But I struggled with that, honestly. And then I realized that there is no such thing as perfection. Perfection is found somewhere spiritually. It's not out there on a football field or in the business world. But you know what practice makes? Aristotle was right. Coach Cut simply says, practice makes permanent. So there again goes those habits, that consistency. So everybody at Duke is behind the line. Everybody runs through the cone. After every series, we run all the way off the field. The shirt tails are tucked in. It's constantly that practice is going to make permanent. So we develop in our business, in our culture, what the habits are. What is a culture? A culture suggests a large group of people with the same common habits, does it not? Whether it's how they eat, it's how they sleep, how they work, how they dress. That's cultures. When you create a culture that's successful and it's staring back at you, you start really seeing something in amazement. To me, leadership in the United States military has been at its best when the focus has always been the leader's job is to create more leaders. This may be later on a PowerPoint page, but think about that. But why did they do that? Your total concept of leadership, and again, I'm going to go right back to you all. You're trying to create more leaders, are you not? So when that leader goes down, it continues. If a soldier is a leader and he's lost in the first 5 minutes of the battle, if he's the only leader, everybody loses their life. That was the concept. Well, I had read about that. I've never served, but I'd read a lot about that, and that became my goal, was that the organization would run better more than likely without me than it would with me. And when I'm away, like I was away yesterday, I had a 5th grandson born yesterday afternoon. Isn't that cool? But all of them couldn't wait to tell me how much they accomplished at work, wouldn't you know? So I think it's true. So we teach winning in everything we do. I love this statement, and I just wrote this one day. You will never achieve anything great in life unless you believe that you have something inside of you that is greater than any circumstance you may face. We all find it differently, but that is so meaningful to me. I had every reason, like most of us, to fail, but I found the things inside of me that existed that I knew were far greater than any circumstance I was going to face. And oddly enough, this started when I was 10 years old. 10 years old. And I'm still working at this, and I have to work at this. So I saw the NQ, FBF. That's it. I hate to again be personal, but I really am comfortable with this group of people. When I was 10 years old, I saw my brother be killed. And I wasn't sure what that meant until I looked inside. You understand what I'm saying? And I started searching for what that was. And you know, I got it from my mom, ladies, to tell you that. Because we lost my dad right after that, and my mom was a superstar. Work on that every day. Work on what's inside of you. My exterior is somewhat breaking down from what it was, and I've kind of gotten pretty used to not being a handsome, good-looking, tall guy, after a lot of years. So work on what's inside of you, and it's going to carry you everywhere you want to go. Here we go back with the love word. Trust and love. The two biggest words in our world in football. Isn't that crazy? Football. And we're talking about trust and love. You know what it did? The first day that we arrived at Duke, I brought 3 of my own equipment guys with me. We're family. And I said, let's go cut the locks off every locker in the locker room. And we did that day one for this reason. We were not going to have a football team that had to lock something from each other. That's the only ones in the locker room. Why do you put locks? So I told them that was going to be the way it was. And at our place, if you want to lay your cell phone down, if you want to put a $20 bill on your locker, it's fine. Nobody's going to touch it. But I also did it for our coaches, the other team. Okay, I don't know how you would configure this, the players and the coaches, and then our administrative group, myself included. But I told the coaches, this is a standard in recruiting. And I know you guys, you got to recruit. This is a standard I do not want violated. If for 1 second you think that you're recruiting somebody, I don't care what the ability level is, if it violates that standard, drop them right there. Do not bring them to me. And we have not had a theft circumstance at Duke. How cool is that, And that's something to be proud of for those young men. It is. I got to go back here. It went off. So, one team rule. I love this. My team rule is this. This is it. I have one rule. And ladies, you'll appreciate this. This is the man's rule. It starts with the one most men have a very difficult time doing. Be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing as well as you can possibly do it. Why would I need another rule for young men? There's a lot of men, famous included through the years, if they've just been where they're supposed to be all the time, there's been a whole lot less trouble for them. Can I get an amen, ladies? Huh? Hey, amen. So that handles that. Then the players themselves set the standards. We do what we call indoctrinations, and we do them twice a year where the players stand up. They take practice habits, they take the weight room, they take dorm life, they take how they treat young ladies. Again, say what you mean and mean what you say. They stand in front of the squad academics, and they give the code of ethics, the code of standards for our team twice a year. They do. I don't help them. So we had a first-round draft choice. I know someone said they're from Detroit, Michigan, I met earlier. But a first-round draft choice was drafted by the Detroit Lions a couple of years ago. 6'4", 325-pound starting offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions. He stood in the room, and here's what he said about academics. He said, guys, within the first week, make sure the professor knows your name. Absolutely make sure they know your face and your name. Within the very first week, make sure you've gone back and see the professor again. They will remember then. When you go to a class, you're 5 minutes early or you're absent. That's the standard. You sit in the first 3 rows. Do not get up and go to the restroom. We're not second graders. You go to the restroom before you get in there. Of course, no headbuds, no eating. Do not disrespect that professor by doing anything but focusing on what's being said. And he said, if you will do that, you can be an asset for this program. But to be an asset in this football program, you got to be a 3.0 or above. Anything below, you're a liability. Well, that's teaching winning. I'm not a big fan of participation awards. And I love teaching winning as a value. That's how it's done. And I'm listening to Lakin, and I don't have time to tell his story. I'm getting dangerously low on what all I want to tell you. But Lakin's a beautiful human being. Came to the United States from Jamaica at 11 years old, and he's going to be a doctor when he finishes playing in the National Football League. It doesn't get any better than that. So we'll move on, though. I think I'm going to have to go back because I want to finish this. P equals W over T. No substitute for this formula. I figured this one out after I lost my dad. I was 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was taking physics from the meanest physics teacher in history. She was mean and redheaded, and I'm sure I'd seen her somewhere as a witch in The Wizard of Oz. So I'm struggling. And then we start talking about grading machinery one day. Any physics folks in here? P equal W over T. That's how we were grading machinery. What it stands for is power equals work over time. So if a machine can produce this amount of work in a 30-minute span or an hour, whatever, that gives it its power quotient. I'm taking notes, and I look around the room like, did y'all hear that? And everybody's just kind of sitting back. There it was. What's the only constant there? Time. There's not a one of you that can have a better or bigger hour than I'm going to have. You got 60 minutes, I got 60 minutes. Anywhere in the world, that's as even as the playing field gets. What are we going to do in it? You know what I figured out then? So it's hot, dead hot in July. Huh? Y'all believe that, right? But we're down in Alabama, and I worked, and I ran, and I prepared, and I ran, and I ran. And so I knew on that field in the fall, my hour in July was going to meet your hour. Come on. Come on. Come on, right? Come on. My hour is going to kick your tail is what's going to happen. Power does equal work over time. I don't believe in working 24/7. I am a family man. I am going to take my absolutely, we have 4 F's at Duke. We believe in faith, family, everybody's futures, and then football. And we go about it that way. But when it's time to work, that power hour is everything. So make sure that you understand where that physics formula will and can take you. It is a beautiful thing. So I love this attitude. Today, I am the oldest I've ever been. Do I look old? But guess what? That helps me seek wisdom and learn from my experiences, doesn't it? I'm older than a lot of you. Younger than some of you. So today, I'm the youngest I'll ever be again, so I am pumped about that. Fact, I am the youngest I will ever be again today, so I am going to use that youth. I am going to use that great youth I have to create that energy for that power hour. And I love that, and I think every single day when we remind ourselves of that, and I've got it written down in I have 2 offices, my downstairs thinking office and my upstairs conducting business office. They're 3-4 floors apart, but my downstairs is just covered with stuff. And I come in there and I exercise in there. I get on a treadmill or I get on a bike, and all I have to do is just look around because it's written everywhere. I have whiteboards everywhere. That's all the wall is. So I would recommend a whiteboard office if you can get one. It's fun. And I have a problem a little bit with NCAA legislation today. And some of what I told you about awards for participation. It's not supposed to be easy. Where is the value in easy? It's really not supposed to be. So you actually become a product, good or bad, of what you've struggled through personally and professionally. That is an absolute fact. I tell young people that come in with their parents and want to talk about coming in as a non-scholarship player. What are the benefits? Well, I go through all of the things. We treat those guys well. If they can get into school at Duke, which is difficult, but if they get there, they get the finest of equipment. It's amazing what we do for our players. They get to lift, they eat well, they do all of the things. But in the end of all of it, I tell their parents this. We're going to challenge your son like he's never been challenged. He's going to do more hard work than he's ever dreamed of doing. And I also recruit this way. I tell our prospects this. Don't come to Duke if you want it to be easy. We're going to demand more of you than any other place you go. But here's the bottom line. The hard work is the gift we give them that remains. All of this is going to rot. What we become inside, the hard work, that product, when you're grinding and you don't want to grind and you grind another 5 hours, guess what? You've strengthened yourself. Nobody will ever take that hard work away from these young men, is what I tell their parents. You can bet your son will carry that to his grave. And that's a promise. That's the only promise I can give you. Don't come if you think you're just trying to earn a scholarship. I can't guarantee you that stuff. I'm not going to say something I can't back up. I can say that your son's going to be disciplined. He is going to be conditioned. And he's going to be worked really, really hard. Sometimes the kid's over there with his eyes about this big around. And then you know what? I tell our coaches, if it doesn't resonate with them, we don't want them. If that runs off a prospect in a scholarship mode, then why would we have wanted him there? It doesn't make sense to me. They don't belong in that locker room. Hot stove. Hot stove. This is a great one. This is another thing with the personal problems that our family had and circumstances. I got really, really tired of people telling me, when you get knocked down, what do? Get back up. And I heard that, and I got knocked down again, and it wasn't making any difference. I got up. But doesn't really everybody get up? And then I had an old retired coach tell me this. He said, it isn't enough to get up. He said, have you ever cooked, boy? I said, yes, sir. He said, you ever touch your finger on the eye of a hot stove? I said, yes, sir. He said, how fast you get your hand off of it? I got it. He said, you know what winners do? They're the first one up. Treat the ground like a hot stove. Everybody's going to get up. And if you start thinking about the great successes, it's who's up first. You have not got time to fail. Treat the ground like a hot stove. That carried me from about 16, 17, somewhere in there till today. Because I have had those not knocked down, slammed down. And immediately, what do you think goes through my mind when I've been slammed to the ground? Treat the ground like a hot stove, David. Go, right now. Back and go. Try that. Just remember, hot stove. The day when you think things are at its worst, just say hot stove. Here we go. This isn't BS. This is real. I don't like fundamental talks that just sound good. I think the best value leaving a legacy, not an ego. Work with a bigger purpose. You make your life, your career more than being about you. Leave a legacy by moving from success to significance. How do you do that? Well, I would say this simple approach. People in the end will not remember what you did for them. They will remember how you made them feel. Bar none. When we go back in our past, we remember the people that made us feel special the most. We remember our favorite aunt or uncle or something based upon how they make you feel. If you want to be significant, you want to leave a legacy, it's not in a building, it's not in a naming right. It should be walking around, and it should be in high numbers. The best live intentionally. Make your plan. Believe in your plan. Take control of your decisions. And you better learn this. Act or be acted upon. The laws of unintended consequences and decision by indecision ruin businesses. They ruin football organizations. They ruin lives. You have to have such a belief in your plan. And absolutely work hard at making it, but it's such a belief that when it makes no sense to believe it, you believe it the most. When it makes no sense, even to you, you adhere to the plan. That's how you act, and that's how you take control of your decisions. One of the things, I'll just add a little spice here, that Coach Bryant, some of you remember Coach Bryant at Alabama. Obviously, Coach Saban has had a great career there now, but Coach Bryant was my coach in my era, and one of the things that I didn't understand young that I do now, he said, never use me or I when we're talking about the football team unless you're losing. And he said, in reality, if things aren't going well, it is absolutely 100% your fault. Somewhere you may be looking at people you think you need to let go. You may be, listen, you can't run from it. That's the moments. It's you. It is an I or a me. And then he said, and I believe that one. I do. I understand it now. I know when we don't do well where the source is. I didn't mature our team very well last year, and I feel awful. I didn't do a very good job, and the losing that we did was all me. The second thing he said, when things are just going kind of as it should, and boy, you like the way it's rolling, it's we and our. You don't say my staff, my team. You say our team, our staff, we, because it is. And that's a team. And then he said something that I didn't grasp for years later. He said, when you win championships, it's them. And oh, how true that is. Our teams that have produced these rings, and I'm fortunate, I got more rings than I have fingers. It's awesome. But, yeah, that's a good thing. But it was them. They were the difference. They were the difference. They were a special them. That's how championships are won. And, boy, when that hit me, it hit me for all it was worth. Your surroundings, the best make everyone around them better. I've kind of mentioned that. The best energize everything and everyone around them. Seize the moment. Best do ordinary things better. Okay? And then it says, be creative, think on your feet. I want to expand on ordinary things. I despise the word small things. Do the little things. Do the small things well. I don't like that. Who has defined something as small or little? Period. There is no such thing. They may look ordinary day to day. It may be as simple as saying good morning to a player. I'm talking to you as coaches now. And that may seem like a little thing. That's not little. It may be ordinary, but it needs to be done extraordinarily. When you run into somebody, even on the street, and you say, good morning, how are you? Engage it and mean it. You know, good morning. Come up here. Let me shake my hand. Come here, please. Yes, sir. You. Good morning. How are you? How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Are you great?
Yes.
All right. It's good to see you. It's my pleasure. Appreciate that. Be where your feet are. If I'm there, that's where I am. There are no little things. There are no small things. There are no small people. There are no small jobs. So some things are considered ordinary. Do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. The best I can tell you there. I believe that. I'm so glad that my mom and dad raised me well. I'm appreciative of that. All right, I'm punching buttons here and I'm in trouble. So, we're back to the start. I can go backwards. No, I don't want to do that. Well, let's forget the PowerPoint then. Let's talk about something near and dear to me. 55. 55. Most of you thought of a speed limit, right? 55. Well, it's a football term for us that we created. An average football play only lasts 5 seconds of live time. Can you believe that? 5 seconds is the average. So if you play 60 snaps, you've played 6 minutes of football. How did I get so tired in 6 minutes? Holy smoke. Well, we ask our players to win 5 things each one of those 5 seconds, every play. We look at our organization through these 5 things. We look at our lives, if you're a part of Duke football, through these 5 things. I'm going to give you 5 critical things. So if you don't like the 5 on the 55, but it's easy to remember, 55. So here they are. The first one is alignment. I've already mentioned be where you're supposed to be. If I'm a quarterback, I'm looking, the very first thing I've got to be aware of is alignment. Make sure where we are, the line of scrimmage is good with the center 2 guards, the tackles. The receivers that are on the ball should be on it. The ones that are off. Is the split good enough? I can watch a film of an opponent after it's been broken down and I know what defense it's going to be, and I'll look at 70 snapshots of their alignment. If they're misaligned 40 or 45 out of 70 snaps, we're going to win by 30 points or more. If you can't line up, you can't play. Okay? Alignment. Think about your lives. Be aligned. Be aligned as an organization. If we're not all in and all aligned, there is no organization. There is no team. There's no personal success without alignment. Okay? The second one is assignment. Knowledge is power. And we're not talking about being right from a knowledge standpoint 90 out of 100 times. We're talking 100 out of 100. We're talking it takes work to gain knowledge. It takes work to understand your assignments. It takes work on that plan to make sure that plan's focused and functional enough that you can be 100% in assignment. Alignment and assignment. The third one is effort. and effort would be first. But think about this. Let me tell you what, when I mean effort, I mean that's your work ethic. That's the specialness of what makes you, you. Can't get away from it. It's not your IQ. It's what you do. It's the grind. It's the effort. So, I can tell you, fast food business, I've seen it and watched it for years, and I've kind of learned from this on this. Effort without alignment and assignment is chaos. You ever been in a long drive-through line? Takes forever to get up to the window. I can't tell you how many times I've ordered and thought about if I could escape, I would leave because I hadn't paid yet, didn't care. And when you get up to the window, you see young people sweating, working hard, but they're bumping into each other. The person getting the fries is hitting the one that's getting the Cokes, and the one that's getting the Cokes is they're all over the place. There's no alignment, there's no assignment. I don't care what your effort level is. Then you go to the one that you're just, boom, boom. Boy, it's got a rhythm to it. Pull up to the window, and it's rocking. And when you look in there, everybody is aligned and assigned. Same effort, no greater effort, but it's going. Y'all had that experience before, those great ones? Some businesses come into your mind. I don't want to know. I'm not advertising for anybody. But you all got a picture in your mind of who that is. It's a big deal. So number 4, execution. I hope you believe this. There's nothing that I said here that we don't execute daily. There's nothing I said here come from here. Way before it comes from here. I don't like philosophy. I don't like lectures and pretty little PowerPoints that are meaningless. So that's why the 55 is the root. It has to be executed. That is a powerful word. In our world, there's different kinds of execution. Guess what? In your world, there's huge differences in the executing of your business. There's poor execution, average, okay to average, good, really good, or great. If all we ever do is execute great, say what you mean what you say, finish through the line, start behind the line, all of this combined, if all we do is practice great, practice makes what? Permanent. Coach Aristotle's proud of us. Because if all we do is execute great, what do we become? Are you great? Yeah, who's great? Okay. You got to believe that. We use the thing, great. We ask this simple little question. Who got the juice? You know what we say? We got the juice. You know what juice is, don't you, huh? Who got the juice? We got the juice. Who got the juice? We got the juice. All right, I'm feeling it now. That last one got me there. Execution. And then the kicker. Finish. In the opportunities I've had in college football coaching, I've been blessed and fortunate. I won't say lucky. I don't like that word because you have to put yourself in position. But I've been blessed and fortunate to be around some of our greatest military leaders in this country. Chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I've been around some very high-level spiritual and religious leaders. It's incredible. I've been around billionaires that have started and run their own businesses and had lunches and dinners and spent time with them. I've had great athletes, Super Bowl MVPs that I've coached and spent time with, and league MVPs and Hall of Famers in baseball that I've coached. And so I've done a personal study, why them? And you know what they did better than anything else? They finished better than all of the rest. They absolutely finished everything better than all of the rest. whether it was those ordinary things or the hardest effort things or the special things, as they used to say, it ain't over till the fat lady sings, right? The opera. They finish. And they finish with passion. Let me give you an example. And I wish I could do this in recruiting, but I can't, because I would pick the right people all of the time. I could take 10 yards, 10 lawns of good size, and trash them with identical objects and identically the same way. Completely trash them. I could drop 10 people off with this instruction: do not call me until you're finished cleaning this up. And you know what you would find in the end? We would find 10 different definitions of finished. We see it in our own homes. Go clean your room up. That resonates, right? Whether it was you the one being told or whether you were the teller, correct? So think about the difference in the 55. So every single day I wear, can't hardly get it out of here, I wear my bracelet that we made that just simply says 55. The other one says sacrifice. I should make one, and I probably will soon. I'm just kind of getting into these things. But it says hot stove. What other reminders do I really need? They're already over my whiteboards. My whiteboards are awesome. It's got Bible quotes. It's got quotes from books. It's got things I've said when I was mad that I don't ever want to say again. That happens to all of us, right? Yes, it does. So, 55. I don't know what you're going to remember tonight. P equals W over T. All of these things can hopefully resonate in one spot for each and every one of you. I admire what you're doing. I admire your independence. I admire your stamina, your work ethic, your persistence. What a great word. Stay admirable. Stay humble. Stay kind and push. You can do all of those, right? You can do all of those. You guys are what we're all about in North America and beyond. You are. You are all about that. So I end it honestly saying again, congratulations, because you're here. Not that it really doesn't, and Joe said this, it's nothing up here. It's what lies within, or you wouldn't be here. Congratulations for you being you. You are a powerful you. I don't know where the family may or may not be in here from Malaysia that I met. 7 children. It reminded me, where are we? Where are we? Stand up and wave. I see you back there. Yeah. That's family. And that resonates with me. There were 8 of us in a house with 6 rooms, one of them being the bathroom. My mom would get mad if I said this, but I'm going to tell you, you could sit on the toilet, turn on the sink, and turn on the tub all at the same time. So I understand what family's all about, right? And that's what you all are to me. And we believe in you. I'm excited to hear about what you do going forward. I wish you the very best. Godspeed. God bless. And be fortunate. Don't be lucky. Put yourself in a position to win, okay? Thank you.
This is a copyrighted program of